I firmly believe that every artist, at least once in their life, should try painting traditionally. So I'm an artist that started out in traditional work because I didn't have, any option to do like digital art. My first digital art was done on an iPad 2 with like Procreate, but it was before the Apple Pencil, so I used either my finger or I have this like touched thing, but it was round and it wasn't, there was not any pressure sensitivity, so it was really not that easy. It was only in 2017 where I started drawing digitally, like for real, because then I got a welcome Intuos and Photoshop. And ever since then, I just switched more and more to digitally because it was easier, it was faster. And like after I got a new iPad, the iPad Pro and, the good Apple Pencil and all that back in, I think, 2021, I just never really went back, and I didn't touch a sketchbook, I didn't draw on paper. But as I've talked a little bit about before, I just went through like a major art block and major creativity block, if you can call it that. Like I was just really burnt out from art, and I just needed a change. I needed to like pick up something else than my Apple Pencil. And I just watched a bit of YouTube, and I got really inspired by watching YouTube and watching other people draw and paint in their sketchbook. And just starting to draw traditionally again, it's just boosted my creativity a lot. And like, I know that we now have a generation that might never really had drawn on paper and stuff like that before going digitally, because they just had an iPad from the start, maybe. I don't know how many people that is in that situation that has never touched a piece of paper, like artistically, but I really believe that if you have never done that, it's a great idea to try it out. And the reason why is it's just so different, and you can feel the texture of the paper when you drag the pencil over it. You can see like the different strokes you get with paint when you're painting with a paintbrush and acrylics, for example. Like if you have a dry brush, you'll get like really textured stuff, but if you put a little water on it, you can get a more smooth look, and it's just so relaxing, actually. And yes, you will make mistakes that you can't just undo, but sometimes those mistakes are just the little, quirks that makes a piece really interesting and organic. For this one, I really wanted to try out my Posca markers again. I used to use them a lot back when I did traditional work. Some of these they're a little old, so there was definitely some times where I tried to squeeze some, ink out or paint out, and it would just like barf like on the paper and just make a mess. But I think that's because they have some years on their end, but it still worked out, and I still love the look. It gets really vibrant and it covers well. And it was just so nice to feel the paper. And you will also learn much more about colors and color theory when you're using traditional things, because when you blend stuff, it's gonna blend. So if you mix all the primary colors, you will end up with a brown, grayish, like blah, color. And you don't usually learn that in digital art sometimes, because they don't blend exactly like how traditional stuff blends. I'm sure you can get some brushes that like it's trying to do like a good job with that, but it's not. It's just not the same. Like, and again, you can't undo. So you'll have to also really think about what strokes you put down, and draw with more intention. When I draw digitally, I use the lasso tool a lot to rescale and move stuff. Like if I feel like the arm should be a little further from the body, I just select that and move it. But you can't do that in traditional, so you have to be more careful with strokes and just think more about where you put the features and how big you're drawing them. And I also like, especially with all the AI stuff, at least for now, if you're doing traditional art, I don't think you'll be accused for making AI art or stuff like that. And you can, like, if you open your sketchbook and like point to it and say, I made that, I don't think people will question that. And it just feels more like true because it's traditional, like with the AI and all that. But that's not saying digital is not true or is good, because I'm a sucker for both. I will not be like in the war, between traditional art and digital art and which is better, and like they're both good. But I just think traditional art gives you something that digital art will never give you. So next time you have an idea for a little drawing, maybe try drawing it traditionally, or at least just try and make the sketch traditionally. But that's also really valid, like making the sketch traditionally and like converting it over to digitally and like finish it there. And I also think it can complement each other. Like after I was done with this seagull thing, I thought about like there's a few things that I could improve in like digital, so I could get it into Procreate and I could modify a few things like just polishing up some edges and stuff like that. And I think that's pretty valid. I hope you enjoyed this little seagull painting, and I also hope you enjoyed my little ramble about traditional and digital art. I just really wanted to speak out about this. I don't know why. It's just because it has been like affecting me so like positively, and I think it could affect someone else really positively. And remember, just keep drawing.